We're now going to look at Gradebook, and in particular, we're going to look at the grades setup. Let's go to our course, choose grades, find the setup tab. For this section, we'll only look at information relating to this setup area of Gradebook. The first thing you'll notice is we have a collection of different grades and different assignments. Assignment, quiz, H5P, a SCORM package, and a lesson. All of those have different maximum grades. They also have weightings. Now, one of the first things you may want to do is rearrange things a little bit because they might be in the wrong order for how you would like your gradebook to be set up. To do that, you click on the left-hand arrow beside the item. So we may find that we'd like the SCORM item at the end. We click on Move. You will see that SCORM has Move beside it, and then this icon down here is where we want to move it to. So if we click there, you can see now the SCORM item has moved to the bottom. The assignment 1, quiz 1 are fine where they are. We might move the H5P activities right down the bottom as well. So let's click on Move. We're moving the H5P item right to the bottom. And we might move this one here right down the bottom as well. There we go. So we've got everything in the order that we'd like them in. So we'd like to have assignment 1, quiz 1, lesson 1, SCORM 1, and then the 2 H5P activities. The next thing you'll notice is weights. What's happened here is that Moodle has automatically created a weighting that classes each assignment, quiz, lesson, SCORM, H5P as being all equal in the eyes of the actual result based on a calculation that their grade, the actual maximum grade that they've got, or the maximum grade that you can have, is all balanced out equally. That means that completing assignment 1 is just as important as completing quiz 1, is equally as important. But let's say you wanted to have assignment 1 is worth 50% of the total grade, and everything else is equally divided up for the rest of the grade. This is how weightings work. So we can click beside assignment 1, and we can change this to 50 because we're going to make it worth 50%. So 50% of the student's mark is made up of assignment 1, and then the importance of every other item will be divided up in the last 50%. Notice we have 3, 3, 31, 31. If we now save changes and have a look, we no longer have 31. It's all divided up equally in the last 50%. So that's how weightings work. So now the assignment is worth 50% of our result and everything else is divided up nice and evenly separately. We'll come back to weightings in a minute. Let's go to maximum grade. Maximum grade is the grade that we set for each of these particular activities. So we said that assignment 1 is out of 100. Quiz 1 has 2 questions and they are worth 1 point each. That's where we get the number 2. As you can see, each one of those is nice and easy and logical. It makes sense. The value of the result is the value of the activity. The course total is 322. That's the total maximum grade that a student can get for this particular course. What you can do is you can divide this up into groups. So you may want to group things together. And to do that, I'm actually going to change the weighting a little bit. We're going to make this one 25 and this one here 25. So the assignment 1 and the quiz are in total worth 50% of the result for the whole course. Let's go save changes. Let's add a category. Oh, I should explain. With categories, you can group activities together under a category and that will give you a category result. So what we want to do is create 2 categories, one with the core activities and one with the rest of the activities. So let's go to category, select core, or type in core as the category. We'll leave everything else the same and just say save changes. So at the moment, it doesn't look like anything really has happened except we have core written here as a category. We will also create another category. Let's add category and we'll call this secondary and save changes. We now have 2 categories, secondary and core. Let's move core up above these 2. go to Move and put Core up here. And we're going to leave Secondary where it is down here, covering each of the other topics. So we've now got two categories, a Core category and a Secondary category. We're now going to move our Assignment 1 and our Quiz 1 into the Core category. Let's choose Move Assignment 1. And you'll see here we can move it to just below Core. We can also select Quiz 1 and move Quiz 1 just above Assignment. It should be below, shouldn't it? Let's go again. Put it below. Let's go to our Lesson 1. And we're going to move our Lesson 1 underneath Secondary. We're going to move our Score 1 underneath Lesson 1. Our H5P, move. Our second H5P, move that below as well. You can now see that we have everything all lined up in their categories. Our course, or our full course, has a course total. For Core, we have an Assignment 1, Quiz 1, with a total of 102. For Secondary, we have Lesson 1, Score 1, H5P, Title 2, and the results for each of those with a total of 220 and a course total. We now have our gradebook a lot more organised. Let's look at the course grade settings. The course grade settings allow us to change the overall settings for some of the parts of a grade. The first setting, aggregate position, decides whether the totals for either categories or for the whole course are displayed before or after the actual activities or items. So we can change first or last. Minimum and maximum grades used in calculations. There are two options: the grades as specified in the grade item settings or the initial minimum maximum grades. These could be different because the student may have been graded and then a grade setting may have been changed where the maximum grade was modified. To make sure that you are using the most current grades as specified in the grade item settings, that is the normal setting. Sometimes though you may want it to be the grade that it was at the time that the student was graded. For most cases you would leave it as the default. The grade item setting, grade display type, gives you quite a few options. You can use real, which is the actual value. You can use real and percentage, real and letter. We haven't looked at letters yet. You can also have percentage on its own, percentage with real, percentage with a letter, the letter only, letter plus real, letter plus percentage. Let's have a quick look to see what that actually means. If we go real percentage, we quickly scroll down, save changes. You can see now we have the real value of the student's grade, as well as in brackets the percentage. If we go back and change this to letter and real, select save, you can see they have a letter beside their grade and then the real value. Or you can go back and change it to letter with a percentage. You can see now we have an A grade pass with a percentage of 100%. It just depends on how you're structuring your courses and how you would like it displayed for your students. We'll go back to Setup, Grade Settings, and change it back to default, which is real. I'll just choose Save, go back to Setup again. Where the letters came from is in the Letters tab over here. So it has letters A, A minus, and the percentage result that they need to have passed to achieve that particular letter. So that's where the letters came from. Back in Setup, Course Grade Settings, we are down to decimal places. That's quite logical. How many decimal places would you like to show in the real value result or any calculated results? The Overview report allows you to show the rank of each of the students. So that's the order that they are based on their results. That may or may not be something you need. Hide totals if they contain hidden items is where a student may have, or you may have a result for a student that is hidden, but the total still shows what the actual total is. So they could work out the value of a hidden item or a hidden grade just by working out the value of all of the other grades that are there minus the hidden one. What you can do is just make it so that the totals don't show a value if there is a hidden item. That way students can't work out what the value is of a hidden grade or of a hidden item. By default, it's just hide. So if there is a hidden grade in there or a hidden item, then the grade totals will not show you a total. They'll just show a dash. The user report, which is this report, we go to View and User Report. This report here, which is a display of what the user sees. You'll see the tabs along the top. Sorry, you will see the columns along the top. Calculator weight, grade, range, percentage, feedback, contribution to course total. If we go into Setup, Course Grade Settings, we can hide or show any of these. You'll notice that rank is hidden, percentage is shown. If we decided we wanted to hide contribution to course total, we would choose hide and then save changes. If we go back to our user report, you can see now that that extra column's disappeared. So that's in Setup, Course Grade Settings, and this is the big list of user report views. The last tab is the Preferences Grader Report. These are preferences for the area that teachers work in. So this will allow them to have some extra buttons or hide certain things. The report we're talking about, if we go back to View, Grader Report, you can see here the Grader Report has quite a few buttons and options and things that can be done. As an administrator, there are certain things you may or may not want teachers and assessors to be able to do in the Grader Report. So you can hide and show different things. Let's have a quick look in Setup. Preferences Grader. Here we've got show hide icons. In here you can, if enabled, when editing is turned on, a show hide icon is shown for each grade for controlling its visibility to the student. You can turn that to no or yes. This way an assessor or a teacher can modify that particular setting. So these are more about settings for assessors and teachers and what they can and can't do when they're editing the grader view or the grader report. One area that you may want to turn on for the Preference Grader Report is the Show Quick Feedback. If we change Show Quick Feedback to yes and enable Ajax to yes and save changes, when we go back to the grader report, we can allow assessors to go in and modify a grade directly. This is like a fast grader editing. They can modify the grade and they can say, well done again, and just tab out of that. Now you notice the grade has been updated and it has an orange box around it. That means that it has been modified. So we know that somebody has gone in and edited the grade from the gradebook as opposed to actually grading their grade in the assignment itself. It gives us the same with quizzes, so we can put some feedback in about the quiz if we like. Well done. And you'll see again, this has been modified in the gradebook. Now you may not want assessors or teachers to be able to modify their grades inside here, but changing those two options allows you to do that really fast grading or grade editing. Back to Setup, Preferences, we'll turn both of those back off again, save changes. And that was a very quick run through of the Setup and Gradebook Setup, Gradebook Settings, and the Preferences Grader Report tabs. Hopefully that has given you a really good basis for using Gradebook and how the setup works for Gradebook.